Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria if you are new. Today I'm going to be doing a look and reviewing the new Natasha Denona Triochrome palette. It is Natasha Denona's holiday release, so it is one of the large palettes. So it does retail for $129 US, and it comes with 15 eyeshadows. And the stars of the show, the reason why it's called Triochrome is because it comes with these 3 multi-chrome eyeshadows here in the middle, and then the rest of the eyeshadows are mattes. I did get mine during the Sephora holiday sale, so I was able to get some money off of mine, which, I mean, thank goodness, because that's pretty pricey for a palette. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the swatches, and then we'll go ahead and get into the look, and I will give my thoughts on the palette afterwards. Okay, so I've primed my eyes and done my eyebrows, so I'm gonna start with the shade Manganese. It's like this purple matte, and I'm taking that on a Sigma E25 blending brush. And I'm just gonna pack that on the outer corner and working it into the crease. I know it looks like it's going on really patchy. That's just the primer that I have on. It takes a little bit of blending on top of it. To blend out the edges a little bit more, I'm going to take this lighter matte purple, the shade Tungsten. And I'm going to use the fluffy end of an Anastasia Beverly Hills brush. Now, I'm going to try to use all 3 of these multi-chrome eyeshadows, and on the back of the box it does say to apply with a dense eyeshadow brush for a subtle finish, and for high payoff or a foiled finish apply with a damp eyeshadow brush or the tip of your finger. So I'm going to use a damp eyeshadow brush. I'm going to use the end of this Anastasia brush. And first I'm going to take Color Flip on the inner portion of my eyelid, move on to that more green one, and then finish it off with the purple on the outer corner. And it is going on beautifully with a brush, with a damp brush. So I'm going to move on to the green. I'm just going to use that same brush, just kind of wipe it off a little bit. And that is the shade Scarab. I'm using this for the center of my lid. And you can really see like the gold and green on this one especially when I move my head. And I'm just going to kind of try to blend that into that Color Flip shade. I'm going to use my finger. I'm just going back and forth with both eyeshadows on my finger, just to really blend them in. Now I'm going to take Kinetic, which is that purple multi-chrome, again on a damp brush. This one I feel like I'm not getting too much of like the multi-chrome. I feel like it's mostly just like a purple shimmer. Let me try it with the brush. I think my brush was a little too damp. Okay, now I'm starting to see kind of like the pink in that purple. Just with like a dry brush, I think this one works a little bit better with this eyeshadow. I'm gonna go back in a little bit more with that green and just blend into that kinetic. Okay, now I'm going to attempt a graphic liner, and I'm just using my NYX Epic ink liner. And I am bringing it more up rather than out. And I'm going to bring it in on top. It's not like 100% perfect, but we're just gonna roll with it for now. And I'm going to clean that up when I put on some foundation. For my brow bone, I'm going to take the shade, I think it's Naja could be. It's like a pastel pink purple. Now for my inner corner, I want to take the shade Androdite, I believe it's called. It's like a pastel green, like a seafoam green. It's kind of like the color that I'm wearing, and I'm taking that on a damp brush actually. Pressing that in my inner corner, and working it up. I'm going to take Color Flip, which is that multi-chrome, and add a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to do my foundation on the other side, and I'll be right back to do the lower lash line. So my face is done. I just am adding a little bit more of this Androdite just to kind of brighten it up. Now for the lower lash line, I feel like I want to bring some of that Androdite shade down. So I'm gonna start there. And for a pastel shade, I'm pretty impressed with how it's showing up on my skin tone. Not too chalky. And I'm going to take that first purple that I used, the manganese, and I'm going to bring that from the outer corner to kind of meet that. Kind of blending together. I am bringing it further in. Now I do want some of the multi-chrome, one of the multi-chrome shades on my lower lash line, so I'm going to wet my little brush that I was using, and I think this is a Bare Minerals brush. I could be completely wrong. The name completely is gone from this and it's very old. So I'm going to take the Kinetic purple. That purple that I used on the outer corner. And I did kind of lose some of that because I made the wings very thick on the end. So this is going to bring it back a little bit. Okay, now I'm just going to add lashes and then we'll move on to the lips. So for mascara, I'm using the Monsieur Big by Lancome. And I don't think I'm gonna add a liner on my lower lash line. I just feel like it would just look like too dark, and I don't want it to be too dark. I already have the graphic liner. Okay, so for the lips, I'm going to use the shade Alison from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's kind of like a pinky mauve. We've got a lot of colors going on here, so I kind of wanted to do something that would kind of bring all of them together. And I am gonna add a gloss. It's going to be the Vibes lip gloss from the Stone Vibes collection from Urban Decay. This is multi-chrome in itself, so I feel like this would really go well with this. And it smells so good. It's like a vanilla mint scent. Now for setting spray, I'm going to use the Anastasia Dewy setting spray. Okay, so this is the finished look using the new Natasha Denona Triochrome palette. Okay, so let's talk about this palette. So this palette is mostly a matte pastel palette. I have not tried the liquid multi-chrome eyeshadows from Natasha Denona. I've seen some reviews say that they are better than these, to just stick with those. I've also read reviews saying that these are better than the liquid ones. I cannot attest to that because I don't have the liquid ones, but I think these are beautiful. I think they went on really well. Again, I did use a wet brush, so I feel like they might not be as lustrous if you just use like a dry brush. I did use a dry brush sometimes to kind of top the wet eyeshadow that I applied, but again, I think a lot of that pigment that I got came from using both my fingers and a damp brush. Like I said, you are mostly going to be buying this for the pastels in this. Now, I haven't tried them all, but the ones that I did use look pretty good on my skin tone, which is kind of hard to find in pastels. A lot of the times they're very chalky. They are not as great of pastels for darker skin tones, I would say, as the Glamlight ones. The Glamlight Ice Cream Dream palette is a mostly pastel palette, and I do have to say I think you get more payoff from that palette compared to the pastels in here, but again, they're not bad. I am going to have to do some more looks using the other ones to kind of see if they're all pretty much like this. I feel like they are, just based off of the swatches. I feel like using a good primer would be very crucial in getting a really good payout of these pastels. And overall, this color story is very interesting. I have not seen a palette quite like this. I don't have anything really like this in my collection. The closest thing would be like the Pat McGrath Holiday Celestial Divinity, because it does have some multi-chromes in there. But again, nothing quite like this, especially with these like more muddy greens, like mustardy greens, and this yellow here. I really like this yellow actually. I'm going to be using this one. These greens do kind of intimidate me, especially this one. It is a little bit more like murky, if that makes sense. It's kind of out of my comfort zone, I would say. Now, I'm going to agree with what people have been saying, and that is it should have been one of her medium-sized palettes. It should have retailed for $65 compared to the $129 that it currently goes for. So, I don't know. That's just kind of my thoughts. As far as the stars of the show, these multi-chrome eyeshadows, I feel like this one had the most shift. And then I would say this one, and just even on camera, it looks very pink, but it's got like, it's also got some kind of green to it. And then the purple one kind of just seems like a purple shimmer to me with a little bit of reflectiveness, nothing that stands out too much. So I can definitely understand why people are a little bit iffy. Again, I would just say that you're buying this for the mattes. If you're buying this for those three eyeshadows, you might be disappointed, especially for the price point. So overall, you could be paying for brand, the size of this palette, and the formulas, because of course the formulas of all the eyeshadows were actually really nice. There was no kick up in the pans, no fallout that I noticed. Natasha Denona is known for having really good formulas most of the time, so that is just kind of to be expected. I do feel like it does have a lot of potential. I feel like you can definitely use this as an everyday palette if you want a little bit more color, but even you can just use some of the more simpler colors to have like a nice pastel day-to-day look, or you can make it more fun and dramatic and play around with all of these fun colors in here. But in conclusion, I am happy to have this in my collection. Now, whether or not it is worth this price point is definitely going to be subjective. I do wish it was a little bit lower in price point. I would personally feel a little bit better about it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys are planning on splurging on this for the holidays, if you guys already have, if you picked this up maybe during the VIB sale like I did. And that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.